Yo, what's good guys, I'm Fire here back from a video, and today we're going to be bringing you another offensive scheme. You guys liked the one I did yesterday, so we're going to go ahead, bring you another one. Once Weekend League starts, I can actually bring gameplays on all these schemes if you would like. Probably will do Deuce Close since you enjoyed that one so much, but today we're going to be in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive playbook, hopping into a very unique formation. It's going to be called the gun box formation. Now, if you played Madden in the past, if you are experienced in knowing like every formation in the game, you probably know this as gun flip trips. It was known as that from Madden 17 pretty much every single year up until now. I don't know why they changed it, but I guess they decided to. But it's flip trips, gun box, same thing. It's going to be a very cool formation. One of the reasons is it's going to be a 4 wide receiver formation. So you take a look, we got Curtis Samuel actually in the quote-unquote tight end spot. Then you have Adam Humphries, DeAndre Carter, and then McLaurin on that other side. So 4 wide receivers, that's nice in Tampa Bay because it gives you the option to audible to things like trips, halfback week, as well as gun spread. Now as far as our audible go, we're going to have slot trail, inside zone, flood drive, and then deep fork. Another good play is going to be deep curls, which I'm actually going to start out in. And there actually is only one run play in this playbook, which is pretty interesting as well. There's some other cool plays, unique routes like wide receiver cross there on the left that you just remembered you cannot see, but I definitely think it'd be cool to see a gameplay with this. We're going to start on the deep curls play. And taking a look at deep curls, why do we like this play? Well, a couple of reasons. I do love Terry McLaurin's wheel route, which we're going to definitely want. And we also have a nice route with Adam Humphries. So what I like to do is first thing, smart out RB, get him a little bit shorter. And then we're just going to do things to open up the wheel route. So you can go with B on like a little deep out route, just a regular out route. I wouldn't do smoke screen, but just like a regular out route would work. And then over here on the left side, I like to just keep it simple, wheel route, out route. So just gives you 2 routes that kind of get opened up. Here you see our seam route. He does run it kind of oddly. I'm not sure how to explain it. He does kind of cut up field just pretty much directly. We'll try and clear Chris Humphries out of the way so that he doesn't run into him. But you see how he kind of like starts out running straight. I'm not sure if that has to do with route running or anything, but that's just what happens. But he still does get in a good spot in the seam, thankfully. Over here on the left, going to be standard stuff with your wheel route and out route combination. Obviously, since you are running your trips on the wide side of the field, you have a little bit less room on this wheel route. Of course, if you were to flip it, you would have more room. So this play is actually not a bad one to be in the middle hash. But you have your wheel route. The last read is going to be Adam Humphries over the middle of the field, which is very throwable. It's going to be a nice route against man coverage, as well as getting in between things like cover 3. As you noticed, it did right there. So overall, just a unique play. Something that, I mean, who's really expecting a play like this out of flip trips? And then boom, you have your seam route. So if he uses your tight end, in this case, Curtis Samuel, you just go ahead and throw it to the wheel with the running back. If he uses the running back wheel, you throw it to Curtis Samuel against cover 3. And again, if it's man coverage, you still should have a couple of options. But here, just showing the audible stuff. Once again, you can audible spread or trips, halfback week. Most 4 wide receiver formations in a lot of these playbooks, you usually do not have a second option to audible to. So it's cool in that regard as well. One of the best unique playbooks in the game. Let's just hop into the inside zone. This is a pretty pass-heavy formation. You're not going to run too much inside zone, although it definitely is nice to mix it in 5-10 times a game, even out of heavy passing formations. Keep your opponent honest. Keep him on his toes, and don't let him rush 2 or 3. You see, we're working pretty good. We do have a nice right guard, Brandon Sheriff, that we are running behind, so keep that in mind. But yeah, man, just decent runs. And your inside zone is the only thing you're going to run, but run it once every 5 plays, and I think you'll be good enough to get this offense going. It's pretty good blocking formation. You see the way that these guys are blocking. Not even really good big receivers, but they're still picking up their blocks in a way that is pretty nice. And you see the way that we're really just being able to get chunks of yardage right here. So the inside zone can be good, and we're even running it to the slower side. If you notice with inside zone, you can of course flip it, and now we're going to get a quicker handoff animation. So you get a quicker handoff, and this allows you to get upfield a little bit better. But you see really good run play. Not going to spend too much time on it, but it's definitely there, and you see it's pretty successful, I might add. Now our other plays, we got deep fork, flood drive here, and then you have slot trail. Flood drive is probably the worst play. It's just going to be kind of simple stuff. You have your wheel route over here, so you do a couple of different things. I'm actually, I guess you can't motion this guy over, which is weird. I thought you could. In plays where the motion is kind of default, I don't know if you can motion him. Maybe he moves. He does kind of move for whatever reason when you go from slot trail to flood drive. I'm not sure why that is the case, but I guess we just found out some stuff about this formation. I was pretty sure, yeah, you can motion him out of slot trail. How far does he motion? He motions into a bunch. So you can actually create a bunch out of this, which is cool if you wanted to, but usually what I'll do with a play like this is kind of run something like this. Just, I'll put McLaurin on like a deep post, create really a bunch trail look, and then I'll motion DeAndre Carter in like a step and just motion snap him like right there to where I can throw this out route later if I want, because he puts so much stress on the curl flat in this case. So you can do that. I love having the stock angle route with Curtis Samuel. Now, one thing that I also want you guys to note is that you can't block this player right here. You can only block 6 at the most. I believe there's ways to motion block guys like Curtis Samuel, and you actually can motion this guy over, which is nice. Formations like bunch don't allow you to motion him over and kind of turn him into a wide receiver spot. So you could run him kind of like this if you really wanted to. So there's a lot of motion capability. I'm not going to show 20 motions on each play, but there are options for you out there. But again, this setup would probably be my favorite. If you wanted to, you could just go traditional clear out with DeAndre Carter as well. If you were looking to perhaps open up your corner route the way that we just did right there. Angle routes, of course, really good at holding cover 3 zones down, especially if he's running him at default. And you notice how Curtis Samuel in his little trail route just absolutely held him down the whole time. If I was running a setup like this, you could also put the in route going the other way. So this would be probably what I would do, I would say. But you see, you can hit this guy later. He's going to be open. Takes a little bit for him to develop, so it can definitely be a nice late play threat. And he actually does go pretty far upfield as well. If you really wanted to, another thing you can do, I guess, we can motion him. Now, so you actually can motion this guy over, kind of turn him into a post route if you want as well. So we can smart out him and kind of run a coverage like this. I don't know what we would do. You could even go deep post on top of deep post. I would probably streak him though. Then you just run a play like this. Maybe you curl B. And you can just mix it up with different route combos like this. Throw it over the top. So you see you just have a lot of options out of these plays. And yeah, that's going to do it for the slot trail. Next up, we're going to go into the flood drive. This is my least favorite play. Again, you notice that the motion, for whatever reason, you can't motion DeAndre Carter. You still can motion Curtis and Adam Humphries. So that's nice to know. But for whatever reason, we cannot motion Carter over here. I guess we can't motion either of these guys. For whatever reason, it shows that we can, but I guess we can't. So this play is not the best. But if you don't have Hot Route Master, it gives you a stock deep post, which isn't going to be as useful because you can't really stress this cover 3 as much as you would like. If you have Hot Route Master, you could maybe run something like this. I don't know, wheel, drag, out route. So you kind of do something like that, but you don't really have as big of a threat to throw that deep post. So I would recommend having at least a receiver apprentice on the outside or a Hot Route Master. I thought you could use motion. I didn't double check though, which is a little bit unfortunate. But so yeah, this play is not as good as I thought it was, but you can still do things like go with a little out route here. I don't know what would be a good way. Maybe something like this. Curl A, run a little out route over here. You still have your wheel, and you still can throw this pass to McLaurin, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this because, again, I just realized that this play is not as good as I thought it was. So if you wanted to, I would probably put deep curls in my audibles rather than this flood drive play, but it shouldn't really have an effect. If you're not going to run this play anyway, you just come out of deep curls every time because it's not like there's another run to put in there. So that would be your best bet. If you want to, you could also run it stock with this motion. He actually motions over really fast to where the defense can't necessarily react, and you notice how you can throw it at a time where J.D. McKissick actually ends up blocking for you, which is cool. So again, it is a quicker motion. Some of these motions are slower. The flood drive one is pretty quick. So you audible, snap the ball, and the quarterback also doesn't point his finger. Sometimes you'll see out of those plays where you have a stock built-in motion, the quarterback will go like this with his hand. It's nice that these ones don't. Let's actually try it out for slot trail. It doesn't happen either, so it might. But you see he has a little hiccup at the end that you don't see out of normal motions. But with the flood drive, that doesn't actually happen. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but yeah, it doesn't, so it can be nice. So again, you just audible motion, he's not gonna stop, he just kind of keeps running through, which is actually very, very cool. But yeah, and you can put crossers, which is something I would probably do, put RB on like a crosser if I had Hot Route Master out of something like this. But let's get into our last setup, which is going to be the deep fork play. Now out of this play, what you can go ahead and do is a couple of different things. I'm gonna try it out here because I didn't lab this before. Let's see if we can beat cover 3 right off the bat. Now we have a slow receiver in Adam Humphries right here, so we'll see. But I would probably go like streak here, wheel Y, and just like drag. Let's see if we can get this going. And kind of. I'm sure if he was faster, it'd be a little bit closer. I'm not going to go back and audible through, but you see how you could potentially throw that. He runs his route a little bit slower than you would like, but it's this play in general is probably the best as far as diversity. This and the deep curl play, I want to say. Slot trail, you can do a lot, but just as far as some of the stock routes you have, if you don't have Hot Route Master, this is one of the best diverse plays in the game. Take a look at what we have. A deeper type post route with Adam Humphries that we still have the option to low ball, but we can also kind of turn into a super deep pass against things like cover 3, cover 2. You have a nice vertical corner route. You see how deep Samuel's going here. Then you have this weird little circle route out of spread, if you know what I'm talking about. He's going to run that circle route. And then you have a nice stock C route. So you have just a lot of stuff. If you were to run this play stock, it wouldn't be terrible. The motion's going to be nice. And then you can throw it to Curtis Samuel over here. You can lowball that, of course. And yeah, man, this play stock is not terrible. If you wanted to, you could streak him. You could just put him on a default smoke screen. But this play, I mean, you don't really need to hot route around it too much. Now, you can focus on certain routes. Like if I'm focusing on Adam Humphries' route, maybe I'm just running it like this with a little in route and then probably a curl behind it. So if I'm focusing on Adam Humphries, this would be a good setup. If this kind of a setup looks like double post actually, if you know what I'm talking about. To piggyback off of that, what you could do with that is flat A, curl B. I would smart out RB. Actually, don't smart out him. And then with Y, you could throw him on like a little route like this. So this would be a good setup in my opinion, just to mix it up a bit. And then you could hit McLaurin, which McLaurin does run that C route weird. I'm not the biggest fan of throwing C routes. It'll either be super clear or not clear enough on whether to throw it. It just depends. So I don't know. It could be fine as well. And of course, if you want, you can still leave this corner out and put him on something like this. So the corner out can definitely be nice if you were able to use it in the right way. With Gunslinger, that's of course a completion, which I'm assuming everybody is using set feet leader or Gunslinger. The motion in this, I don't know if that you can motion. I guess you can motion this post right over and kind of turn it into double posts. This setup would not be terrible. You have like 2 super deep post routes. You have McKissick coming underneath. So, or if we wanted to, what we could do is maybe I just like, let's streak B, put RB on like a backside drag, and then motion over Curtis Samuel. And you could do the same thing with the post route and turn it into a corner route, which I'll show next, but you see how much space Curtis Samuel actually has. Turn on the afterburners, and it's actually a nice touchdown. So I'll show that play again, because that setup's actually really nice. Really, all I did was just clear out B. So I streaked B, dragged RB, and then we just motion snapped Curtis Samuel. With X, you could like put McLaurin on a deep post if you want, or you can just leave him on his corner route. So you can do either, but both those routes do a nice job of pulling the zones down, and you can really throw it over the top. Let's say we want to motion Adam Humphries over. Again, to motion Adam Humphries out of this, you have to put B on a route first, so we might just streak him. And then you can actually get kind of 2 corner routes. So I'm just going to streak X or deep post X, whatever. And then we motion Adam Humphries across. Now he's running a corner route, and we can motion snap him about here. And he's going to run super deep up the field to where you can throw it over the top of zones. That's going to pretty much do for the video, though. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you drop a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel down below. And peace. I'm out of here.